Hey, this is Brandon with Pickleball Effects. Today I've got the Omega Evolution Max. So this paddle is made by Engage. Engage recently introduced a series of mid-market paddles, and this is one of them. So this one comes in at 110 bucks. They have a few other paddles in the series that are 130, and a couple others that are about 150, 160 dollars. Engage is known for their high-level performance paddles, especially their Pursuit series. So I was happy to see that they came in with a few mid-market paddles. But yeah, this is the Omega Evolution Max. Let's go put it on the court and see how it plays.
As more players are getting into the game, the demand for quality mid-market paddles is increasing, and I think this paddle fits that need well. When you're going from an entry-level paddle to something nicer, you expect something that is softer and easier to connect with, and the Evolution Max delivers on that. However, it does have some caveats. I'll start with quickly going over the specs of the paddle, talk about my likes and dislikes of it, and then I'll compare it to the other mid-market paddles Engage released, and end with my recommendation for who this paddle may or may not be good for. Engage was conservative with the shape and handle length. They went with a standard shape that is 16 inches long and 8 inches wide and has a 5-inch long handle. This shape and handle length is neither long or short and offers the most all-around playability. It has a thinner 13mm polymer core, a textured carbon fiber face, and weighs an average of 8 ounces. I'll also add one note about the grip size. It has a 4¼ inch grip size, which is typical, but isn't always the case with thinner 13mm core paddles, especially ones in this price range. Alright, let's talk about what I liked about the paddle. It had a soft, plush, sort of thud-like feel that is pleasant and easy to connect with. Unlike many entry-level or even higher entry-level paddles that have a harder, less lively feel to them. Thinner 13mm cores are normally associated with power and not control, so it surprised me how soft and easy to control it was. If I was blinded and took a few hits with it, I would have guessed it was a thicker core paddle, which is known for giving you that softer feel. The nice feel of the paddle gave me excellent control and made it easier to execute drops and keep my dinks low. The paddle weighs an average of 8 ounces, which puts it in the midweight paddle category. The little extra weight added some stability and forgiveness to it, which helped increase its control rating. It had a good sized sweet spot, though I wouldn't say it was oversized. The paddle has a higher twist weight, which means it doesn't twist easily in your hands, making it better to block hard hit shots coming at you, and will reduce errors in general because the ball bounces more consistently across the face and doesn't give you many issues with off-center hits. The strengths of this paddle are in its control and ability to enhance your soft game and reduce errors. If you're coming from an entry-level paddle in that 60 or less range, you'll notice immediate improvement in feel and control with this. I thought its forgiveness, stability, and ability to control the pace of play was up there with many of the more expensive performance control paddles that I've played. Now here are some of the things I've disliked about the paddle. The textured surface of the paddle feels very gritty when you pull it out of the box, and it could produce some decent spin initially, but the grit wore out after a couple of days of playing with it and its spin potential dropped. The paddle absorbs pace really well, which was great in a lot of scenarios, but it wasn't ideal when I was countering speed ups or gotten fast hand exchanges. It didn't have a ton of pop, so I was less dangerous when I was attacking, especially in scenarios where I didn't have time to put a big swing on it. And when you compare this paddle to higher end control paddles, it seems that higher end ones will give you a little more pop and spin to enable you offensively, while still maintaining the same high level of control as the Evolution Max. So I think that's the big difference between this one and maybe some of the higher end performance paddles. Additionally, although I like the configuration of this paddle, Engage doesn't give you any customization options like weight, colors, or handle length or anything. So I played with the Evolution Max alongside the $130 Evolution Pro and Pro 1, which are the other mid-market paddles Engage released at the same time with the Max. I didn't really like the Pro and Pro 1 and thought the Max was the best of these three paddles, even though it was the cheapest. The Pro models didn't have as good of a feel as the Max, even though they had thicker cores. They were head heavy and just felt clunky, and the control and sweet spot wasn't great. The only thing they really had on the Max was a little bit more power. So here's my recommendation. Ultimately, I thought this was an excellent control paddle that plays and feels above its price point. However, it didn't have that same amount of pop and spin you'd get from a higher end control paddle. However, if you play and compete at or around the 3.5 level, then I think this paddle is a good fit for you because oftentimes control trumps power in those scenarios because the soft game is harder to develop. And having a paddle that will enable your soft game, reduce errors, bring your dinks down, be more consistent with thirds is going to win you more points than increasing your power will. That being said, if you do want some more attacking ability to go along with excellent control, then you may need to look at some top-end control paddles instead of the Evolution Max. So that's everything I have for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope it helped.
Yeah! What? The old third shot lob, baby.